Hey everyone, guess who's back? This is the commish, back here with week 1 game previews. We finally come to that point where the season's about to begin. I'm sure everyone's just as excited as I am. On a personal level for me, obviously, I'm hoping the Browns show at least some sort of competitiveness this year, and I think they will. But let's get into the LOC. Let's look at the week 1 matchups here. First one I look at, Stanton and BC Lions comes over from Tier 2, got lucky 4th place. So, it should be top 3, but obviously due to whatever, he moves up. We'll take on Matthew and Cape Cod Sharks, who basically completely dismantled his team in Tier 2. But it paid off, and he got into the LOC. And it's worked out for him. The guy that's taken over his team, though, he might be lucky to win a game. There's no doubt about that. But when I look at the storylines in this one, for Stanton, can the Rams special teams defense flourish for him? And then you got Stafford on Monday Night Football versus the Jets. Be an important matchup for him. For Cape Cod Sharks, obviously, the obvious question will be, is Andrew Luck back? And then for Alvin Kamara, how many fantasy points is this guy going to get you in the first 4 games without Mark Ingram? That'll be interesting to watch. Next game we're looking at John and Nathan's Lobos taking on Brandon and the Architect. The Architect moves up from 5th place in Tier 2. John, second year in the LOC here. I mean, for him, I think the first thing he's looking at for his storylines of the season, Ronald Jones, number 2 pick, is he a bust? That will remain to be seen. And then Devontae Parker, already ruled out for week 1, so that's going to affect his lineup, but he's got a lot of depth, probably the best depth in the league. With the Architect, it's all about Alex Smith and AP, and the old guys in there for Washington, we'll see how they perform. And then, the storyline for Brandon really is, can he survive? And it starts against John and Nathan Lobos. Not an easy matchup week 1 in the LOC. Next matchup, it's going to be a division rivalry out of the South. It's going to be Chris and Bashan Street Bullies taking on Luke and Too Good for a Name. For Bashan Street Bullies, will we find out? Delvin Cook, he looks for real. It'll be interesting to watch him. And then the Ravens D versus Buffalo. How many points are they going to get? Nathan Peterman, 5 picks in one half of football. We'll see how he performs. And then for Too Good for a Name, wow. Le'Veon Bell, the news just dropped, will not be out there for week 1. It's looking like a disaster in Pittsburgh and a disaster for Luke right now, not having Le'Veon Bell out there. And then to back it up, he has the Chiefs defense, and that's it. That's scary. The Chiefs defense looks like Swiss cheese without Marcus Peters back there, so it'll be interesting to see how that's going to affect them for sure. Next up, it's an East Division rivalry. Glenn and Saban Matts Ryan, 3rd place finisher last year, taking on Ryan and Long Yard, my predicted champ. For saving Ryan, is Carlos Hyde going to be a beast? He's on the Browns. I'm going to be watching. The other thing for Glenn, obviously I only predicted 1 win. I'm sure he would love to throw it in my face if he gets a lot more than 1 win, that's for sure. Ryan and Long Yard, again, JG a beast. I'm excited to watch the Browns. And then how about the story now with Le'Veon Bell? How much does James Conner now have a role for Long Yard? Things are just falling into place for him right now. And you know how the commission has been with his crystal ball the last 2 seasons. The next one, another one out of the East, Robert and Templars taking on Sean and Fallen Misfits. Templars, couldn't ask for more of a disaster to start the year. Jerick McKinnon, one of his starting running backs, goes down after preseason week 4. Just dreadful for him. And then trusting the Cowboys defense, much like Chiefs defense, is that going to be a mistake for Templars? For Sean, what I'm going to be looking at, his storyline, we find out, is Mahomes for real? We're going to hopefully see that come week 1. The other thing for Sean, is Royce Freeman going to be this year's Dalvin Cook? There was a lot of running backs chosen in the first round before Sean picked. He went with Royce Freeman, and he might end up with the best of the bunch. Next up, North Division battle. Danny and Billsy Bobs taking on Milan in the 6. For Billsy Bobs, we're going to find out is Deshaun Watson fully recovered. Can't ask for a better matchup against New England and Brady. I'm sure he'll be watching that one. And then, of course, the one to watch will be, especially between the matchup between the two, is the Jaguars defense versus the Giants for Danny. And then, of course, Milan in the 6 will have Barkley in his first career NFL start against that Jags D. So that'll be fun to watch. I'm sure they'll be watching that game as well. The next one is, for Milan, Cousins' debut. Is he worth all that money? I've heard stories that he's a marginal upgrade over Case Keenum. It'll be interesting to see how that goes throughout the season. Next up, division battle out of the West. Two long rivals, Brian and the 12th man taking on Susan fighting Geese. For the 12th man, obviously, Mark Ingram out for 4, one of your starting running backs. Is that going to be too big of a hole for the first 4? We find out. And then also looking at your tight ends, the production from them, clearly the worst group of tight ends in the entire league. And that should be interesting to see how you piece that together. For Suze, it's Fitz and Breeze one more year. Can they provide you with enough points to get you over the top, the veterans? And then, of course, looking at your running backs, clearly one of the worst in the league as well. So that'll be interesting to see how those ones perform. Next up, a rematch of last year's championship. It's Ryan and Deuce Bombers taking on Lucas and Green Lightning. Normally, you'd think this game would be the game of the week, but for, clearly reasons, I'll get right into it. For Ryan, what I'm going to find out with him is Mariota good enough? That's all he really has at quarterback and could be his only real weakness on his team. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And if that happens, Ryan, hit me up for Jimmy G. We can start talking trade. Next thing, the return of David Johnson. Does he return to 2 years ago David Johnson and provide Ryan and Deuce Bombers what he needs to repeat? And then for Lucas and Green Lightning, kind of went into this rematch again with Wentz not there and Elshon Jeffrey this time not going to be there. So the story for Lucas early on is it's Sammy Bradford time, and that's not really a guy you want to rely on moving forward, that's for sure. Next up, it's the stinker of the week. It's myself taking on M Unique and Ellie Island, and the reason why I chose this as the stinker of the week is I don't see the two teams being particularly strong, but we'll see. I mean, for me, what I'm going to be watching for week 1, I'm hoping Wilkins can seize the opportunity. I hope Marlon Mack is down, and Wilkins can find a big game and take that starting job away. And then I'm also going to be obviously excited to watch Khalil Mack in Chicago. What kind of impact does he have on primetime football? That'll be fun to watch. And then for Ellie Island, I'm looking at her team, and it's, the decision to start Tannehill over Eli. I mean, is that going to be a smart decision? Probably, with Eli playing that Jaguars defense. And then can wide receivers make up for the lack of the run game as well? I mean, Ellie Island, not a strong run game. But some decent wide receivers there for sure. So last up, it's going to be True North, Chris versus Krista and Storm, the game of the week. Doesn't get any better than this one. For True North, what I'm going to see, I honestly think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a huge fantasy year. And we'll see how he performs for Christian True North. And then it could it get any better for Christian True North? He had the Bears defense as his lone defense, and Khalil Mack comes aboard to help that obviously strengthen their team and points. Next up for Kristen Storm, the thing I'll be looking at is Doug Baldwin healthy? And that's what we'll have to find out week 1, because we haven't seen anything of him. Obviously one of her top receivers. And then the funny thing is she has a lot of Seahawks on her team, but she has the Broncos defense who plays the Seahawks. So, I mean, that happens to us in a league this deep sometimes, but usually when that happens, your points kind of break even, and you don't really get a real advantage either way. But it's going to be really exciting to watch. I just realized I didn't say who would win each game after just talking about the preview. So what I'm going to do is I'll just write it in a story for you guys on what I had predicted at first and whether or not there's going to be any changes, because I think there is going to be one change. Anyways, guys, I know you're super excited. I know everyone's really great to get this kicked off, and good luck to everyone.